Happy Friday!
Happy Friday!
Welcome back to Just One More Chapter. I'm your host, Melanie.
I'm Santana.
And thanks for coming to this book review episode.
Yes.
Of Heartless Hunter.
Heartless Hunter.
Oh my goodness.
Such a good book. I enjoyed it so much.
Yeah, I'm so excited to hear your thoughts on it.
Yeah, it was great.
So if you haven't read Heartless Hunter, please leave this episode, I guess.
Come back after you've read it.
Come back and let us know what your thoughts are. If you don't care and you're still listening about this book, it's cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks for doing that. I'm really excited to get into this. So we're just going to say spoiler warning.
Yes, major spoilers.
Major spoilers. If you have not finished it, don't listen, come back. But I'm sure you have. It's the end of December. It's a pretty quick book to read.
It is, yeah. I got through it, I think, 4 or 5 days, I want to say.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was. It was like 4 or 5 days.
It's kind of a page turner. Like, you want to know what happens.
She really grips you from chapter to chapter.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It's like that cat and mouse game. You're like, hey, like, who's hunting who kind of thing almost, right?
Okay, so let's get back into it. This is Heartless Hunter by Kristen Ciccarelli.
Ciccarelli.
So, Santana, do you want to read? We're just going to do the traditional thing where we read the interior of the book.
On the night Rune's life changed forever, blood ran in the streets. Now in the aftermath of a devastating revolution, witches have been diminished from powerful rulers to outcasts, ruthlessly hunted due to their waning magic, and Rune must hide what she is. Spending her days pretending to be nothing more than a vapid young socialite, Rune spends her nights as the Crimson Moth, a witch vigilante who rescues her kind from being purged. When a rescue goes wrong, she decides to throw the witch hunters off her scent and gain the intel she desperately needs by courting the handsome Gideon Sharp. He's a notorious and unforgiving witch hunter, loyal to the revolution, and too late, Rune realizes she might be falling for him.
Love it. So, first impressions of the book. What did you think about it? I don't think you've read anything with witches in it.
No, definitely. I was excited because, like, I wanted to know how that, like, witch and witch hunter thing was going to play out. You know, like, who is he going to get her?
Yes.
Is he not?
Yes.
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that really intrigued me.
Yeah, same for me when I read that excerpt. I was just like really interested of like a vigilante, protecting witches. Then she's like falling or gonna fall for the witch hunter.
Exactly. It's like, oh, the best enemies to lovers.
Yes. So the three main characters of this book is Ruin, who is the female main character, Gideon, who's the male main character, and then I would say Alex is another main character.
Yes, definitely.
Right? Because even though the book is told in both Ruin and Gideon's perspective, which I love.
Me too. I love that.
I love that.
The dual perspective just, it does it for me.
It does it. It does it. But I definitely feel like Alex was a main character.
Yeah, definitely.
In my eyes.
Oh, totally.
Right?
I agree. Yeah, because... yeah, he loved Rune.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like he cared for her so much. And
he was a big part, even though you didn't hear his perspective.
Yeah.
He was always either in Rune's chapters or Gideon's chapters. So I think he was like a vital character.
I agree.
So I think we're going to go in with how other book reviews are, of just kind of going like chapter to chapter.
Yeah, definitely.
And start with that. So in the beginning of the chapter, it kind of was like, it's not called an epilogue. What was it called?
Yeah, they're different in this book.
Yeah.
I noticed like the prologue too is a different word I'd never seen before.
Yes.
I should have looked it up.
Overture.
Overture.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, overture.
Overture? So the overture at the beginning kind of gives you background, just enough, which I thought that was kind of cool. So the book starts off with the background knowledge of kind of what's happening. The witches' rule has been over with now, and they're being hunted.
Yeah.
So the witches have gone into hiding. The first chapter, we learn that Ruin had to take the fall with her grandmother being captured by the Blood Guard to make sure that Ruin is safe and not questioned as a witch.
Yeah.
It was like so immediate, so quick. They jumped you right in, so it kind of like gripped you.
Yeah, you're
immediately.
like, whoa. Yeah, like,
which I
what's
love.
going on here?
Yes.
100%.
And so then her grandmother Nan tells her she needs to go find Seraphine.
Yes.
But we don't know why.
Exactly.
Why Seraphine is important.
Yeah.
And
her nan had said there was some answers she'll get from Seraphine.
That's right.
And Rune was almost like, oh, like she was trying to seek out this woman for a long time.
That's right.
Yeah, she was a very powerful witch at one point, I think. So, and she also wasn't sure if Seraphine was gonna like hurt her for what she did to her grandmother. So I thought that was pretty interesting too, because I was like, oh, is something gonna go down here?
Yes.
Like-
No. It was so interesting getting into figure out, let's go find Seraphine. And then we find out that Seraphine just got raided.
Yeah.
You know, because there's still blood. It just happened.
There's a big X on her door.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. There's blood. So then we're like, oh God, now Seraphine is gone. And then it immediately, Rune is like on the hunt and is trying to kind of like intercept of where they've taken her.
Yeah.
And then then Rune goes to the opera house.
Yes.
And that's where she comes across Layla.
Yeah, Layla Creed.
Layla Creed, who
I think she's just like what do they call them? She's
Blood
also
guard.
a blood guard too,
yeah,
right?
Yeah. Which no one likes anyone from the Blood Guard.
We don't like them.
We don't like them. So then we find out that Rune is the Crimson Moth.
Yes.
She is the main vigilante who has made it her mission after 2 years ago when her nan was taken to try and catch these witches before the Blood Guard does, before they go get executed.
Exactly.
So then Rune takes it upon herself to kind of go into hiding and pretends to be like a socialite.
Yeah, this like ditzy, vapid, shallow girl, right? So no one suspects her.
Yeah, she becomes like a popular girl.
Yeah, and I think she's an heiress too, right? So she is pretty like wealthy.
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
And I think because of what she did, like turning in her nan, she was very like praised for that, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You
Yeah, like the
know?
girl who brought in her own grandmother.
Yeah,
like clearly she hates witches.
Exactly.
So that was such a smart thing to do.
Yeah.
Like and I love that. And I think that's where we meet or we hear how Rune is best friends with Alex.
Yes.
And Alex is brothers with our main male character, Gideon.
Yes.
And how we find out that Alex and Rune are really good friends and how Rune can't stand Gideon. And you're like, oh, click.
You're like, okay, here we go.
Here we go. She doesn't like the boy. She loves him.
Exactly. Yeah.
We find out that a little backstory of the kingdom, I'm going to call it the kingdom, is probably another name for it, was ruled by the sister queens because witches used to rule over this place and they were powerful. And then, oh God, what was his name? The commander. I think it was just like the commander.
Yeah.
Took over, made witches like bad guys and decided to just slaughter a bunch of witches.
Ban them.
And these witches leave a mark. Everything in this book has like symbols.
Yeah.
There's another word for mark that I just can't think of right now. But the Sister Queen's marks is a rose with thorns, half enclosed inside a crescent moon. I just thought that was so pretty.
Yeah.
The way they described it.
Totally. Even like the way their magic works too. Like when they like will cut themselves, you know, how it leaves like a silvery, like I just thought that was so descriptive and like pretty in my head.
I know,
you know what I
right?
mean?
Because you could see that on someone's body.
Yeah.
Like just picture like white ink but scar.
Yeah, exactly.
I thought that
Like
was so cool.
silvery kind of
Yes.
tattoos.
I thought that was so cool.
Yeah.
And then the next is that we jump into Gideon's perspective.
Yes.
And Gideon is taking a shower and is wiping off the blood.
Yes.
And he is a blood guard. And we know that he was the one to go and capture Seraphine.
Yes.
But also we find out that he's been marked by one of the sister queens.
Yeah.
Cressida, thank
Yes.
you. And that he's been marked. Now, we don't know why, but it doesn't seem something that he's very happy about.
No, he seems very like terrified about it almost, like traumatized, you know?
I don't know what I thought when I had the mark because it definitely seemed like very possessive.
Yeah.
Because like no one else has marks. You're not supposed to have a mark.
Yeah.
That's how they can tell who's a witch and who isn't.
Exactly.
And then for him to have like a mark from a witch, you're like, what's going on
like,
there?
Ooh, something happened.
Something happened. Oh, we kind of find out that Alex knows Rune's secret.
Yes.
What'd you think of that?
Like, I was like, oh my God, Alex.
Yes.
Like, just the way he found out too, right? I think she was at his party.
Yeah, we'll get into that. We'll
Yeah,
get into
yeah.
that as we go through the chapters. But yes, the way he found it was so sweet.
Yeah, I was like, oh,
it was so
Alex.
sweet. But for me, I was like, whoa, how does Alex, who's Gideon's brother, know Rune's secret?
Yeah.
And is protecting her, but then also loves and protects his brother.
Yeah.
You're like, whoa, that dynamic seems so crazy.
Because he seems like he loves his brother a lot.
Yes.
So to like hide something like that from him, and like knowing what he went through too, I was like, oh God.
Alex just immediately seemed like a very sweet guy.
Oh, I loved him.
Very
Love
nice
him.
guy.
Yeah.
We find out that Ruin was 13 when she met Gideon, and Gideon was 15. And that kind of gave us an indication of the age gap between them. I think the present book, 16, 18?
Yeah.
I think that's the age.
I think so, yeah.
Oh,
I wanna
God.
say.
I couldn't remember. And then it kind of goes into the description of that witches in this book need blood to cast their spells.
Yes.
Because of the cutting thing.
Yeah.
What'd you think of like that type of like magic?
I liked it. Like, I didn't think it was like, it's not complex. Like, it's easy to digest. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't some like crazy like magic system, which I really appreciated. I was like, oh, okay, I liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's simple. And the one thing that I didn't really think about the first time, but I thought was so smart, and I guess you could say like quote unquote gross, was that like Ruin, to keep herself being marked free, she uses her
Yes.
menstrual blood.
Exactly. I know. I thought that was smart. I was like,
so
girl,
smart.
like,
Just collecting vials of blood. Which I think is so smart because I don't think, the enemies of this book are smart enough to realize like, hey, girls bleed once a
Yeah,
month.
exactly.
Like
dumbass.
dumbasses, like they could just use their blood.
Exactly. They don't need marks.
And then it kind of the cat and mouse
Yeah.
begins. Of Ruin has decided, even though Alex doesn't want her to,
No, he's very against it.
Very
Like,
against
stay away. Gideon's familiar with this, like he can smell magic. He
I know,
knows.
which is so kind of weird.
Yeah.
Not weird, but I was like,
oh,
what are the odds he can smell
Scent.
magic? I was wondering, I kind of wish they went into detail as to why.
Yeah.
Like, can everyone, maybe if I need to reread the book, like, does every witch just have, like, it's a certain smell
I
that
think
witches
it is
has?
a certain smell. Yeah, I think Rune's was like the ocean, like a salty kind of.
Yeah, that's what that's what the Kristen
That's-
described her
yeah.
as. And so, but
Because
then
I know
it's
like
different smells.
Gideon at one point was saying like she smelled fresh in like the ocean. Yeah.
So then that can't be it though, because then
Yeah.
he's looking for a distinctive smell, but I don't think she described of like what that distinctive smell
No,
is.
exactly. I think it's different for every witch.
But then how would you know?
Exactly.
Right? Okay.
Yeah,
Maybe-
because I know like Cressida, like it comes in later in the book, but
smells
I know
the roses.
he knows she has a certain
Yes.
smell.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Although I think maybe I just need to reread or
Yeah.
like Google it more.
Yeah.
But I think that would like a little bit more detail.
Yeah, definitely.
I would have liked
yeah,
that.
I think because I remember him saying like she stinks.
Yes.
You know, like
Yes.
he hated her smell. Like,
Yes. I
that
saw
sort
that.
of thing.
We kind of get into the cat and mouse of where Ruin agrees to herself that she's going to get close to Gideon.
Yes.
And just to get more information of Seraphine because she wants to find. Sorry, I totally said that backwards, you guys. Ruin wants to get close to Gideon to get. Did I say it right?
Yeah, you did.
Oh
yeah,
God.
to get closer, some information on Seraphine.
Thank
anyways.
you.
Yeah, she doesn't know where she's being held. She wants to find out the information from her and free her too, right? So she's like, "Hey, this guy knows exactly where she is. He's the captain, right? He's
I
the
loathe
captain.
him, but I want to get close."
Exactly. I'm
Which I
going
thought
to court him.
Yeah. We also find out Gideon and Alex had a sister named Tessa who passed. In the part of this book, we don't really know how she passed, but we kind of know that Gideon feels very motivated to find these witches. I don't think it like in terms of honoring his sister, but we kind of get like
Yeah.
a little hint.
Yes.
Yes. we also learn, I don't know why I keep saying it like that, we're reading through the book. Sorry, guys. I gotta get my words better. That the crimson moth has a signature.
Yes.
After she leaves, and if you read the book, I don't have it in my hand, it's the actual moth out of the book.
Moth. I thought it was so pretty. Like
So
that
pretty.
description of it. I was just like, oh, that must be so nice.
Yeah.
Like, it's just floating in the air.
Right, and then just dissipates.
Yeah.
I think that is such a cool thing to be like, every witch has their own little mark, and then they leave it. I don't know if they leave it or it just leaves itself after you use magic. So I thought that was kind of
I think it's after you use the magic. I think it just appears, right? Mm-hmm. Which I thought was pretty.
My next one, so we could just kind of see where you are in yours, is that Harrow, who is Gideon's friend, who's also part of the Blood Guard, convinces Gideon.
Yes. So he goes and visits Harrow, which I was kind of like, I wish I had a little more information on her.
Me too.
Of her backstory, just a little bit, because I was like, hey, who is this chick? She's missing an ear, which obviously a witch took it, or we don't really know.
No.
She doesn't really tell the whole story.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, okay, something happened bad between her and witches for her to lose her ear, and she's helping the captain of the blood. I feel like she's almost like an informant to him.
Yeah.
I don't know if she works for the blood guards.
I think she does.
She does. Okay.
I think she is a blood guard. Yeah. She just seems to be Gideon's best friend, companion.
Yeah.
In the blood guard, and she's definitely super hates witches.
Yes.
And like you said, I really wish we could know more of her.
Yeah,
because she appears
backstory.
so much in this book.
Exactly.
And she's always talking with Gideon.
Yeah. So then she's kind of like, yeah, well, you should go after Rune, because I think at this point he kind of suspects.
He does.
Right?
And
she might be the Crimson Moth.
I know. Yes.
Right.
He does, and that's why Harrow's you need to go get close to her. And I'm kind of remember what prompted him to think she could be it.
I think it was the questions Rune was kind of asking.
Oh, Seraphine.
Because she was
kept
mentioning Seraphine and just trying to get information from him, not in a blatant way, being outright asking him, but he kind of got the vibe,
Yeah,
so
I need to inspect this a little bit more. Why are you so interested?
Exactly.
Because you never talk to me.
Exactly.
You hate me.
Exactly. So I think Harrow was like, well, I'll try and get close to her, see if, she has any of these scars that will determine if she's a witch or not, right?
Yeah, that's their only indication that is if they have these scars. They haven't figured out anything else. And what I thought was so cool, learning how girls know that they're witches in general, because they don't know unless they get their first bleed, and it bleeds black.
So then we also get introduced to Verity, which is Rune's best friend. She's not a witch, but she knows of spells and certain things that witches do because her sisters were witches that got captured.
I think it's just one sister.
Oh, okay.
I think she just had an older sister who was a witch.
Oh, okay.
That she said through Verity's mouth that her mother hated witches and outed her own daughter.
Yeah.
And you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
But then I didn't question when Verity's I'm not a witch, but my sister was.
Yeah.
Because, again, this book didn't give you much information of how the witches works. You're like, okay.
How it's passed down or anything like that,
I trust
right?
you.
Yeah.
But then I thought it was kind of weird how, I didn't really think too much of it, but how Verity loves keeping spiders and she has jars everywhere of different
weird things.
I was like, okay, something's going on with you.
Exactly.
We learn how Gideon and Alex are involved with the Blood Guard and how Gideon is kind of connected to the Sister Queens. That Gideon and Alex's parents were dressmakers when they were ruling, and that they enjoyed their work so much that they kind of brought their family in, and that's how they were so close.
Yeah, to live at the castle or whatever it was with them, right? And then you kind of learn that Gideon was helping them to make the dresses, and I think Cressida
we kind of learn that she was very intrigued with Gideon at that moment. We don't know too much, but it kind of makes sense because you're like, oh wait, we still don't know why he has a scar of her. But then they're like, okay, it makes sense why they were close. What happened? Because now he's a witch hunter. He was close with the witches who were rulers. So I was like, And as Ruin and Gideon get close, Ruin gets invited to a luminaries. I'm saying that right. The dinner, which is like a dinner to celebrate the witch hunters and like scowl witches. It's all we kind of know at that moment of the book. It's like this dinner. They want Ruin to speak. And so then she's like, uh-oh, they want me to talk about
like turning in
her grandmother. She's like, how am I gonna like talk about this?
Because it still haunts her. Like that must have been so hard to, and I believe they killed her grandmother right in front of her, right? So she's like traumatized.
Did they kill her or did she just take her away?
No, I think they killed her right in front of her.
I thought,
and she had to be like stone cold, like
that's right.
You know, like not affected by it at all. Which, like, oh my god,
I was for some reason
that.
No, I don't know why in the beginning when we were talking about it, I kept for some reason linking Hernan and Seraphine together. Two certain people. They're not the same person.
At first, when I was reading, I was like, hey, who is this Seraphine?
We get into Ruin and getting close, and then Ruin wants to try and put like a truth serum spell in this cup. And like give it to Gideon, but then she like chickens out, and then like she takes it, and I was like, "Oh no, she's just gonna start spilling truths."
Totally, and I was like, "Oh god, what's gonna happen?
Happen?" And then they almost go in for a kiss, and then she's like, "Uh oh," and she like spills her wine.
I think she was trying to like not kiss him, right? That's why she did that. Was just kind of like to
she's like, "What's happening?
Get away from me."
You're like, what is happening? I'm getting too close. Like, I don't want that.
Exactly.
And it kind of jumps into the past of when Ruin was 11 and then Alex finds her.
Yes. So she's at Alex's party and her stomach starts cramping. So she goes to the bathroom and then she realizes, okay, I've just got my period and it's black. It's all over my dress. Like, what am I going to do? Like,
she's like, oh my God.
She's locked herself in the bathroom.
Yep.
And then
she's
Alex
like, I'm caught.
comes and he's like, are you in there?
And like bangs it down, which I thought was like,
okay, boy.
Yeah, like, I'm gonna knock this door down. Give her some space.
A little privacy.
Damn, that boy was like, I'm knocking this door down.
I know.
And he does.
Yeah. And then he sees, and then he's like, oh my God, like.
Doesn't even question
Doesn't question her at all.
Which is
like, she was freaking out.
Yeah. I don't know. I didn't expect at first. I was like, oh, what's going to happen?
I know.
And then immediately he was like protective mode. And I was like, oh, this is sweet.
I thought was so sweet.
Yeah.
Aw, so he gets her new clothes, runs her a bath. Like,
Alex is so sweet.
Oh, I love him.
We kind of get a hint or a clue something might be happening because there's one quick chapter where Gideon thinks he's smelling. Can you see her name again?
Cressida.
Thank you. Thinks he's smelling Cressida, but then it kind of like goes away. And then it goes into Gideon making a dress for Ruin for that dinner because Ruin did say like she had nothing to wear.
Have anything to wear.
And the fact that he's like, I'm going to go make her a dress. I was like, oh my God. Okay.
Okay. Love that.
It was so cool. And so she goes to his shop to get fitted.
Yes.
And then so I guess Harrow
kind of convinced him to do that, right? Like, search her body. I think initially she was like, you have to have sex with her.
Yeah, like right away.
Right away, right? She's like, and he's like, okay, no.
Slow down.
Slow down, right? She's like, oh, this is perfect.
Yeah.
Like, I can see her body and see if she has any scars, right?
Yeah, and it makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, I want to fit you for a dress. But then immediately Ruin clocks it.
Yeah.
She's like, you're trying to search for scars.
She knows what's up.
Yeah. She's like, you're not going to find any.
And then no problem. She just like
Yeah.
takes her clothes off.
But at that moment, though, we find out that Gideon used to do measurements for Cressida.
Yes.
And you're like, oh, wow, you were that close to her?
Yeah.
Because Harrow kind of guides Gideon to like, okay, you're thinking ruins the crimson moth.
Yeah.
So Gideon feeds her
Yes.
false info,
Yes.
which you're like, no.
Oh, yes. I forgot about this.
Yes. He like feeds her false information,
Yeah.
and then Ruin obviously doesn't realize it, and so she goes to the location where they think they're going to be transferring
Yes, this part was crazy.
Seraphine, and she uses like an invisibility like spell, but only has her eyes, I think. So everything else is invisible, just her eyes.
Yeah.
And she almost gets captured by Gideon.
This part was crazy.
So they go into like, it seems like it's like an underground like location.
Yeah, I think it's like a tunnel almost,
Yeah, tunnels,
right?
like water in there. So I guess like a sewer system. I think what I was picturing.
That's what I was picturing
like
too.
A huge one.
Yeah, like underneath and like tunnels. And
yes. So he almost captures her. She doesn't talk, which I thought was so smart. She's like, okay, I can't say anything. He's gonna know it's me.
Exactly.
And then Harrow starts to shoot at Ruin and like grazes her as she gets away. You're like, oh, no, they're gonna know. Because immediately Gideon's like, this is Ruin, right? He's like, even though you're not talking, the only person who knew this location is you.
Exactly.
So then I was like, well, oh my God, what's gonna happen? This is crazy.
It was crazy. And then Ruin heads to like a party right after, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Heads to the party and immediately Alex was like, where are you? What happened?
She's bleeding. Yeah. Alex sees her outside and then Rune's like, I need you as an alibi.
Yeah,
sort of thing,
which
right?
was like, okay, thank goodness.
Yeah, thank God for Alex.
And Gideon goes to like try and probe her.
Yeah.
And Ruin's like so smart, just being like, oh, how'd it go?
Yeah, I've
like,
been here. I've been here this whole time.
Because then immediately Alex in front of Gideon was like, oh, we came together. Like, we're going to go leave to study or whatever. And then Ruin invites Gideon to the dinner.
Yes.
She's like, okay, I got to keep you close still.
Yeah.
Like, would you want to come with me to this dinner?
Be my date.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then we kind of like relaxed for a second because it kept going like high tension.
Yes.
And right after that was they go through a walk in like her garden.
Oh, yes. Yeah, he shows up at her house.
Yeah, which I thought was like so cute. They're just like watching and talking and kind of like getting close.
So cute.
And it just seemed very genuine on Gideon's part.
Oh, totally.
Of wanting to just kind of like chat with her more.
He's kind of opening up to her a little bit too, right? I think at this point.
Yes.
Telling about his parents and his sister, was it?
Yes.
This part?
Yes. Yeah. This is the part where he says, you know, the witches.
Yes.
Or a witches. No. So, yes. He goes into telling first to Ruin that he fell in love with a witch.
Yes, that's right.
And he explains that his mother was being tortured by the sisters. And Ruin doesn't really believe it.
Yes.
But then Gideon tells her that, like, no, they killed my sister.
Yes.
And then, because of that, my parents committed suicide.
Yes.
Which is, like, so crazy and dark. And then you realize that Cressida was threatening, obviously, every one of his loved ones because she really wanted him. And he's like, I don't want anything to do with you.
Yeah, he was, like, disgusted by her.
Yeah. And that then she threatened Alex. And so then Gideon's like, okay, I'm just going to do what you say because I want to protect my only last family member.
Exactly. And I think he also told her, like, they were using forbidden magic.
Well, because immediately, yes, because they're like, well, why was the mother going mad?
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Right?
And I think that's, like, when they use other people's blood without their consent.
Correct.
Right? Which is, like, the most powerful which produces the most powerful spells.
Yes, which is called the Arcana spells.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think he kind of relates to her like, no, they were doing that. They were getting too powerful.
Even though they banned it.
Yeah,
Sorry, air quotes. They like banned it when they were ruling, like you can't do it.
Yeah.
But then Rain finds out they were doing it.
They were doing it.
Yeah.
But she, at the same time, she's also like, oh, is he just saying that and doesn't really know? Like she didn't know if she could trust what he was saying, right?
Totally. I think she definitely believed the whole, why his parents died.
Yes.
But then when he started talking about the sisters, she's like, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
She's kind of keeping
She's
her.
like, oh, but she put that in the back of her mind.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then he suggests skinny dipping.
Yes!
Right? Oh, I love
like,
this
what's
part.
happening with Gideon?
Yeah, I was like, oh, okay.
already got her naked once. Gotta get her naked again.
Exactly. Because I think Hera was like, oh, that's not enough. Like, you need to check in between her thighs.
I know this girl.
I was
man.
like, whoa,
this
okay,
girl. Because she's like, if I was a girl, I would have like, did it between my legs.
That's where I would do it.
Come
Like,
on, this is a much.
I was like, oh my gosh.
But I think it was cute. Go swimming, and then they kiss for the first time.
Yes.
Ah.
And then she pulls away, right?
Yes. Well, no, I think they both kiss
both
collectively.
kiss, yeah, and then she's like kind of like,
yeah.
she gets freaked out, right?
Yeah, because then they go into talking about how they first met. Because Ruin's perspective, Gideon said something about her outfit and thought he was being like cold and rude.
Yeah.
And so they're just kind of talking about.
What did she call him, like a brute or something?
Yeah, something like that. Something like that. But they just kind of talk about how they first met, and I think this is when he talks about how when they first met, Alex brought Ruin as like his guest, and then Gideon was like, "Well, you're off limits.
Yes.
My brother brought you, and I can tell my brother's like madly in love with you."
Exactly.
She's like, "What?"
Yeah, and he's kind of conflicted with that, right?
Yeah.
By his loyalty to Alex, but he's also kind of has feelings for Rune at this point
Oh,
too.
100%.
He's like, oh God, like
he feels like she could be the Crimson Moth.
Yeah.
But because he does have such a sweet, soft heart that he's like, I don't care at the moment. Like he does, he care, and he doesn't.
Exactly.
He just kind of likes her as a person.
He can see she's like a kind soul. Too,
Not what he was
right?
expecting.
Yeah,
compared to the whole
100%.
socialite she exudes.
Yeah, definitely.
And then they kiss goodnight to say
Yes.
bye, and then right back into it where Gideon or Ruin is still trying to figure out where Seraphine is. And so she
Yes.
gifts Gideon or makes a jacket with like an enchantment like Ruin
Yes.
on his inner pocket.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, is he gonna find
the
it?
truth teller?
Oh my gosh. Then this happens to be the Luminary dinner. Luminary's dinner.
This was crazy.
Which was so crazy.
So action packed. Like this is when it started to get like super like action packed.
It was still good.
Which I liked.
yeah.
Yeah, because it kind of like intrigues you more. You're like, hey, I need to know what's gonna happen next.
It's finally happening.
Right?
We find out that it's going to be a witch purging and that they want Ruin, who's like the main guest, to do it.
Yeah.
Which I was like, how is she going to? I was like, how's she going to get out of this?
I know.
I was like, this is it. They're going to find out.
She's like, hey, should I like cut myself, like just on my finger maybe? And she's trying to come up with these plans of like how to get out of this, right?
And then I think she realizes it's Seraphine.
It's Seraphine.
That she's making.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Craziness.
And then a fire.
Yes, the fire.
It erupts not from her, which you're like, okay, who the heck is that? And then the fire starts to like have a mind of its own.
It's against Ruin, essentially, right? She's like, okay, whoa. Like, I don't think she realized it when she was in it.
No,
but
so
everyone else who could see it was like just around Rune.
It's coming for
right?
her.
Yeah.
They were somewhere else and they just like traveled to her.
Yes.
And then Gideon comes and like saves her.
Saves her. Oh, I love that.
He comes and saves her and she goes like, you came or something like that.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Because she was like looking for him this entire dinner because he was
supposed to be her date.
Yeah. So she's like, oh no, he knows I'm the, I'm a witch.
Exactly.
He doesn't want me. And then when he like saves her, she was like, oh, you came.
Oh, you came. I love that. But at the same time, he's like, hey, it can't, like, she can't be the Crimson Moth then. Like,
yeah, because the fire's coming towards her.
Yeah.
It's trying to hurt her.
Exactly.
He's immediately like, okay, this can't be you.
Exactly. And I think this is when afterwards they see that it's like a rose.
It's Cressida's mark.
Cressida's mark. And he's like,
You're like,
oh. But he doesn't tell Rune that, right?
No.
You think he just keeps it between him and the other blood guards, but...
And before that mark, before that dinner, had this assumption that she's dead.
Yes.
And I think they talked about prior was that Gideon mentioned, I don't know to who, that Alex was the one.
Alex killed her.
Right?
Yes.
Because he killed the other two queens, and then Alex's job was to kill Cressida, and then we find out she's not dead.
Yes. Which is craziness. Because this whole time you're thinking she's dead, like,
Well, you're hoping she's dead.
She's hoping she's dead.
Yeah.
Because from Gideon's perspective, she's evil.
Yeah.
Pure evil.
Yeah. And obviously, hearing about what he went through, you were like, okay, this girl was crazy.
Yeah.
Like, she
100%.
needed to go.
Yeah,
the way she was
definitely.
treating and, like,
Too
killing
powerful,
people.
like, it got to her head.
Yeah. Like, it's like, what is it, like, power hungry?
Yes, exactly. I think that's what happens when they do those forbidden spells,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I think you get, like, the rush of the power. You're like, okay, I gotta keep doing
You
more.
gotta keep doing more.
We learned through that process, Gideon, in that trivial time that he was going through, was just kind of like being her servant and then getting drunk and getting the crap beat out of him at the boxing ring.
Yes.
And that was like his life.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my God, it's like poor boy. Because
I
at the time he
know.
was a boy.
Because, yeah, he was.
Like,
yeah.
they're not adults yet.
And, like, he was, like, her low-born lover.
Yeah, the rumors going around
Yeah.
that. So you're like, oh my God, like he was just being like sexually
used.
assaulted.
Yeah,
Like, oh
that's
my
what I
God.
thought too. I was like, oh, this poor man.
Oh.
Like,
Jesus Christ. So yeah, like hearing his backstory of he would just get drunk, go to boxing,
Yes.
willingly get beat up because he had nothing else to do.
Yeah.
Like this guy has been through so much. So you're like, no wonder he's a witch hunter.
Yeah.
Like I can't blame him at all.
no, totally.
Losing all your family.
Yeah, because of a witch.
Because of a
like,
witch.
Totally understandable.
Yeah, to thinking like all of them are like her.
Yeah.
Because like obviously that's his only
Experience. 100%. Was it like this part that, like, he brings Rune back to his place?
So first, yeah. So just after we find out through Alex that Alex never killed Crescenda.
That's right,
He tells
yes.
Ruin
Yeah.
that like I never killed
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
her. I couldn't do it. And you're like, she's like, what?
Yeah.
She's like, are you insane? The fact that your brother went through all that and you couldn't
And
do
you
it.
couldn't do it.
You're like, I think you've been sympathy for me, but like you couldn't kill someone who's harming your
Who, like,
brother.
killed your whole family.
Yeah. Which I was which I was kind of shocked
Alex.
by.
Yeah, I know.
Like you're so empathetic, but
Yeah.
you're okay with a murderer.
100%. I know. I was like, what the heck?
I was like, I'm sorry. That made me so mad.
Yes.
And then another witch attack happens, which Gideon is there. We don't see it, but we just kind of like a flame goes boom in a sense.
Oh, yes.
And that Ruin is like worried that, okay, what happened to him?
I think they got tipped off that there was witches hiding in this place.
It was like a
right?
trap.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a trap.
Yeah.
But then again, he also smells her magic at
Yes.
this point too.
Yes. So he knew she was there.
He knows she's there.
Or she was there, right? And then attack happens. We don't know what's going on. Then
Yeah.
Ruin goes to his place.
His place. That's right. Because she hears about it and she's all concerned. Like, oh my God, Gideon.
I know,
Like,
and
she
immediate-
doesn't know, like, because there's people killed
Yeah.
at this explosion,
Yes,
right?
a lot of the guards.
Yeah. So she doesn't know whether, like, he's dead or, you know.
Yeah.
But then he's there.
He's there. She goes back to his,
Yes.
I guess, home.
Yeah, apartment.
Yeah.
I think. And he lets her in and
They get down to business.
get down to business.
Get down to business. And then Ruin admits to herself that, like, okay, I'm in love with him.
Yeah.
Like, I can't deny it anymore.
And he keeps telling her too, like he's like reassuring her, like I feel the same way, kind of thing, right? And
but she's having a hard time
Yeah.
trusting him because.
trust, yeah, that was a big thing.
Yeah, because
was the
he is a
trust.
witch hunter.
Yeah,
Like, you know what I
exactly.
mean? She's like, and I'm a witch.
Yeah.
So it's this whole, I want you, but I'm so afraid for my own life.
Totally.
You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I love that Gideon was like expressing his wants for her. It was just, yeah, it was so sweet.
So cute. And he's also kind of conflicted too because he knows Alex is madly in love with this woman.
That's right.
You know?
Yeah.
It's craziness.
Oh. So then Gideon, that same night, gets a sketch from Harrow
Yeah.
that the second witch attack looks like Verity. And he's like, how? How does it look like Verity?
Yeah.
And then Gideon and Harold chat. And then Harold's like, oh, did you sleep with her?
Yeah.
Like, did you check, blah, 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 blah. And then Ruin overhears their conversation.
Yes. And he's saying some like pretty hurtful stuff.
Well, like, we're in his perspective.
Yeah.
So he says it just to get her away because he wants Harrow.
100%.
So I love that, the fact that we
Yeah.
were in his perspective because we could have think from Ruin
Yeah.
that like, oh, he's just being a jerk.
He's
but
being
we
a
know he
dick.
wasn't.
Yeah.
He's just like, yeah, totally.
Totally wanting her to leave.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she runs away.
And Rune overhears.
Oh, I was like, no, such a
like,
sweet moment. And then like it's ruined.
Ruined. Completely ruined.
And immediately after she sees she has that, like what timing, like Alec confesses he's in love with her.
I know.
Like, what's happening?
Right afterwards.
Yes. I just slept with your brother and now like you confessing you love me?
Like, oh, whoa. Yeah, he proposes at this point, right?
And like proposes, come with me,
Yeah.
be my wife.
Yes.
And she's like, sure.
They're on an island, right?
I think so.
He wants her to go to like the mainland, if I'm
Yeah.
not mistaken.
Yeah, I think because they do have to
We
take...
got to reference the map here, which I love. There's a map in this
I know.
book.
The nice thing about fantasies is they do have a map.
Yeah.
So yeah, like, this is the water. So no,
Yeah.
they are on like, I guess it is an island, but it's
Yeah.
not far. So where do they go? To the harbor? So they're gonna go over that direction.
Oh, I see.
But yeah, either way, like it's been hinting throughout the book that Alex wants to get away. Gideon doesn't know, and he keeps like telling her throughout the book, like, come with me for like a week. He's like, and then she's like, no, and he's like, okay, then a month.
Yeah.
And he's just keeps.
He wants her to start living life for herself, is
Yeah.
what it was, I think. Like, he's like, you can't save every witch, and you're going to kill yourself trying to do this mission, but she wants to do it for her grandmother, right?
Yeah, she feels like it's her life. It's her purpose.
Her purpose.
Because she feels, even though it's not her fault, she feels like such sort of guilt.
Yeah.
Of feeling like she could have done more.
Yeah, to save her, right?
To save her.
Yeah. But yeah, he's like, no, leave it behind. You got to live life. Like, come be with me, because he wants to go back to school. He plays the piano.
Yeah, he's
right?
sweet, but like for her to immediately like be like, yes.
Yeah.
I'm like, I know you think Gideon's like against you.
She was all messed up in her head.
Yes,
right?
like you can't blame her because she thinks she doesn't know Gideon's intention with that conversation. So you're like, okay,
Exactly.
like I need to get out of here, but like. You're not in love with Alex the way he's in love with you.
Yes.
So to say yes, you're kind of just like
kind of like, oh, like she looks at him like a brother.
Yeah, or just I don't know if like a brother, but like she loves him so much as a friend that it's like a pity. You're like, I guess you're the next best thing.
Oh, thanks.
Gideon leaves Ruin a note, and like a present.
Yeah, an apology.
And I thought that was so sweet.
And I think this is where Rune goes to seek out Verity, right? After this, she goes to tell her what had happened.
She's trying to go find her I guess like dorm.
Her dormitory at the university.
And she's like somehow getting it wrong.
Yeah, she opens the door and it's like some
room closet.
And she's like, I've been here many times before.
Yeah.
This is the room. So she goes and asks like the dorm person, whoever's at the front desk, and she's like, no, there's no Verity here.
And you're like, what?
What is going on?
And then she starts to clue in. She's like, whoa. Like, I don't think Verity is who she says she is. She doesn't put two and two together at this point.
No, not yet.
But she's like, okay, something's clearly up.
Something's going on here because it was literally like a janitor's closet.
Yeah, she's like, I've been here how many times?
Exactly.
How am I not finding your dorm?
Up.
So then, because Gideon left Ruin a note, Ruin meets Gideon.
Yeah.
And then he kind of is like, hey, I figured out that you're the Crimson Moth.
I know what you are. Yeah. I was like, oh god.
Oh no. She's gonna get captured. And then like Gideon sees the engagement ring.
Exactly, yeah. Because she's wearing it on a necklace around her neck.
Oh my god. And he's like, I was like, oh my god. He figured it out. And
How did he figure it out again?
So he went to go give her the present because he left a note in a present.
Oh yes.
Hand deliver it to her. Yes. And then he finds her casting room. Hidden behind the bookcase, I think it was.
Spells.
And then he's like, okay, you're it.
He's like two and two together.
Yeah.
Yep.
He put two and two together.
That's right.
So then Harrow and Gideon have captured.
Arrest her.
And then Gideon and Alex have a very heated conversation.
Yes, because Alex publicly confesses to like aiding Rune.
Yeah.
He's like, I've been helping her. I'm a witch sympathizer.
Yep. Just lays it all on the line for his brother.
Yeah. Because he's like, arrest me too then. Which I thought was dumb. Like, why would you do that? Like, I get, like, you love Rune and everything, but, like, you could have at least saved yourself.
Yeah. Okay. So he confesses just to Gideon, though, at that point. And then it gets next into then Rune and Seraphine reunite and they, like, the prison.
Yes.
The prison. And then Seraphine tells her, like, they're going to get, like, slaughtered together.
Yes, yep.
And then and then the other witches come there. And Ruin finds out through Seraphine that, like, Verity is Cressida.
Yeah, I was like, oh my god.
I don't know if I knew.
She was, like, disguised as Verity, and then she just, like, revealed herself.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Then Verity sets them free.
Yes.
And then Cressida is trying to, like, use her intimidation over Gideon to be like, all these guards need to put down their weapons.
Yeah.
Leave
Tell
us
them to
alone.
back down.
Yeah, back down. And then threatens Harrow, and I think Harrow's like family.
Yes.
Like, I'm gonna, murder them.
Yeah.
And Gideon's like, okay, I'll just do whatever you want,
Yeah.
because he's just feeling so scared.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god, this girl's back.
Yeah.
She's gonna
That power she still has over him,
Yes.
right? Like, he is traumatized. Yeah.
And then Cressida, she tries to shoot him. And then Alex jumps in the way.
Yes.
Oh,
poor Alex.
Jumps in the way.
Like, these last few chapters were so action-packed. I was
Yes.
like, holy crap.
I know, and you're like looking
I
how
was
how
like, oh my god, there's
short.
not much left. Damn it.
Oh my god.
Right? Yeah, dies in Rune's arms.
Dies in his arm, but before he dies, he gives her permission to use his blood.
Yes.
I was like,
oh my god.
oh my god, you're gonna do that?
Like, crazy.
Like, to this very end, this guy's been a ride or die Ruin person.
100%.
Like, witch sympathizer
Yeah.
through and through. Like, Alex, my guy.
Loved her to death.
Loved her-
Literally.
Gives her permission, and she's like, okay, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
And just cracks the earth between the
causes this
witches.
huge, like, earthquake.
Yes.
Like,
Oh my god. And then Gideon, like, yells out, like, I'm gonna find you.
yeah.
You're like,
you're dead.
Yeah.
I'm gonna find you.
I'm gonna find you.
Yeah.
And then the last chapter was so quick of Ruin does not trust Cressida
No,
at all.
At all. She's getting bad vibes. Even as, like, the reader, too, you're getting these, like, oh,
Yeah.
I don't know about this girl.
I don't trust her. We don't know if we can trust Seraphine either.
Oh, totally.
Like, we don't really know about her. And so we're just like, oh my God, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
She's going to go with them because where else she's going to go?
Exactly.
She has to go run now.
Yeah.
And
So they're on a boat.
yeah, and they're
Sailing away.
Bye.
And that's when it ends.
That's when it ends.
Oh, the cliffhanger. I was like, okay, I need the second book.
Immediately.
I need it now.
Oh my gosh. When
I need to know what happened.
finished that book, I immediately looked for the second book. And it wasn't even like announced yet, but now it is announced for next year.
Yes.
Which I'm so excited for.
I know. I can't wait.
Like, I rated it 5 out of 5, and I'm sure you did.
I think
too.
4.5.
Yeah. What was your half?
Just the half, like, just kind of like not knowing everything.
Yeah.
It's not like a fault really, but it's just like, like I need to know more.
Yeah. Yeah.
The cliffhanger lost half a star.
I think from the beginning to end, she did such a good job of getting to the point, explaining how things work. I do love how at the beginning of some of the chapters, it explained like the spells.
Yes, I like that too.
Right? It
Yeah.
explained how there's like
The
3
different
types.
types.
Yes. There are mirages, which are illusions, menoras, which are spells that change the material world. Both can be used with blood. All of them are with blood. But you can use either your blood or other people's blood with permission. And the fresher the blood, the more powerful.
Yes.
And then the arcana spells, which were the ones that,
The forbidden ones.
the forbidden ones, where you can use blood, but use it from someone who does not give you permission, but then that gains the most powerful spells.
Yes.
So I like how she kind of put that on the chapter and give you descriptions.
So you can get a description of it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice.
So I just thought this book was such a good introduction for fantasy.
Totally, I agree. Yeah, as someone who hadn't read fantasy in like years, it was great.
I love the
I'm more
concept.
like open to it now, I think. Whereas before I was kind of like, oh, like I don't know, like
Yeah.
but I think I want to read more.
Yeah, I definitely want to read more too. And I just love the concept of not just like learning spells, but the fact that like you're using blood. I thought it was so
So
I-
cool.
For me, like original, like I don't know if there's any other books that have that.
I don't know either, but yeah, I
Or
thought
so
that was-
different, I guess I would
yeah,
say.
it's different.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah,
Like,
I like
so
that.
intriguing. But then, like, I know some people I've seen have an issue with like they're using menstrual blood, but I was like, what do you want people to
cares?
do? Like,
Exactly.
like how this you're bleeding anyway. Okay.
Exactly. She's got to protect herself.
Yes.
Like, she can't go out and kill a bunch of people.
Oh my goodness.
You know?
I also liked in the book where if you're going to use a big spell, if you didn't use fresh blood, it kind of made you like sick and pass out.
Yeah.
Because at one point she did pass out
Yes.
from doing a spell, and it's because she's not using like fresh blood.
Fresh blood,
Which I thought
that's
was kind of
right.
interesting.
Yeah.
Because it makes seems more wild the fact that like, you know, witches could hold blood and just kind of like use it. But the fact that like they either have to cut themselves or other people and use
Yeah.
it fresh, I don't know, it just felt more intriguing. I don't know. I don't know
Yeah,
how
I
else to
thought that was
describe it.
interesting for sure.
Yeah. I really enjoyed it. I'm so excited for Rebel Witch.
Yes, the next book.
The next
I
book.
think it comes out in February.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Yeah.
So guess what that book's going to be? What month?
That month. I think
month?
it comes out in the middle of February, so we'll probably do it March.
Okay,
I think.
Yeah. That makes
Let
sense.
people give them some time to get it.
What are you wanting to like read? Like, I know we're kind of not talking about this book now, but I guess to end this episode off for the next book, what are you hoping to read? Like, what more backstory or for future? What were you like hoping to read through
for-
Rebel Witch?
For Rebel Witch, yeah, kind of a little more backstory. And then, like, yeah, what's going to happen next? You know what I mean? What are you hoping?
I'm really interested to see how Cressida's gonna spin what she's
Yeah,
done to
like-
Verity, and how Verity's the only people she can not really trust, but kind of get close.
Yeah.
Are Seraphine, and there are other witches there,
Yeah.
but I'm assuming Seraphine and
Yeah, I didn't
Cressida's
even
gonna
really
be.
think about that because, like, Cressida's been Rune's best friend for, like, years now.
Yeah, yeah. Like, I'm
Like-
trying to think of when they met each other.
Yeah.
When they were younger.
So she's been
Maybe
her,
not.
like, second, like, in command is what I think that she referred
Or when
to
did
her.
Cressida take over Verity's
Verity's
form?
yeah.
Because obviously she didn't grow up with Cressida because
Exactly.
Cressida was how old? So I'd be curious to know when that switch
Yeah.
was.
Because,
and-
yeah, she's been, like, her closest friend other than Alex
Yeah.
for this whole time.
And then now Alex is
like,
dead.
oh. And then, like, with her knowing that what she did to Gideon, I think she's kind of, like, holding that grudge a little
think
bit,
that's what
too.
kinda-
And you're kind of getting bad vibes from Cressida because she seems like she's crazy.
Yeah.
Or evil, at
Evil.
least, you know.
Oh no, definitely crazy the fact like you were threatening this poor boy
Yeah.
and then like murdering his family.
To kill his family, yeah.
Yeah. I definitely would still like the dual point of view.
Me too.
Especially because he's trying to hunt her and she's trying to run
Oh,
away.
definitely.
How are they going to cross paths? Is she going to be involved of them still murdering people? Because I'm sure they're going to go, the witches are going to go on like a
definitely.
hunting spree
They're gonna have to, right?
And
to
try
get the blood.
and try and take over. So 5 out of 5 for me.
Me as well. Well, 4.5.
4.5.
It's up there. That's a good rating.
Yes. I'm curious to know what you guys have rated it.
Yes.
Hopefully you've enjoyed Heartless Hunter. I'm going to be talking about this book for a while. I just thought it's really good. I love the magic system.
Yeah, me
and
too.
I'm really want Gideon and Ruin to end up
I
together.
know.
How's it going to happen? I don't know.
Me too.
And I'm curious, like, is it just going to be a duology?
Yeah.
Are we
Or
getting?
is there going to be more?
Is there going to be more after
don't
this? I don't know.
We'll
Okay.
have to wait till next year. We'll catch you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.